What is going on, everybody? It is great to have you with me. Well, the Vikings' first preseason game is in the books. They lose 24-13. Whoop-de ding dong. The score doesn't matter. Don't care that Kevin O'Connell's never won a preseason game because the results of the game is not what matters. What does matter, we will go over here today and we'll see whose stock's rising, whose is falling, and ultimately what to expect the next couple of weeks with two joint practices and two preseason games against the Titans and the Cardinals. Nick Mullens showed you what he should have showed you, that he is a competent backup quarterback. Nothing more, nothing less. He was under duress for most of the evening, so he didn't look like Patrick Mahomes out there, but he looked competent. So if there is a time where Kirk Cousins is not available for one reason or another, the Vikings could survive a few games with Nick Mullens. That's it. So we'll give him the props where they are. Had some nice passes, dealt with the pressure halfway decent because, again, the offensive line didn't block for a darn last night from a pass protection standpoint. But Nick Mullens looked okay. Ty Chandler, 11 carries, 41 yards, 4 receptions for 29. Looked like he has all but locked up the number 2 running back spot. He didn't look like Adrian Peterson in his first game, but that's not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is, can this guy carry the rock if he's given the opportunity to? We know he's going to be the backup to Alexander Mattison, who was given a 2-year contract extension. He's going to be the lead back, but Ty Chandler looked pretty good behind a mediocre offensive line. Granted, yes, against second stringers. Had a tendency to make the first guy miss, and most of the time fell forward for positive yardage. He was the odds-on favorite going into this to be the backup to Alexander Mattison, and now he has moved up to being the heavy betting favorite. I'm not saying it's a done deal. Kenny Wongwu, if he does get back from his injury, will be given an opportunity in the next couple of weeks, but Ty Chandler looked the part last night, and that's great. And now on to our shiny new toy. First round draft pick, wide receiver Jordan Addison looked the part. He is him. No, he's not the him that Justin Jefferson is. But if this kid was drafted to a team that needed a wide receiver to come in right away to be their number 1, he would absolutely fit that bill. A little irritated with Kevin O'Connell for not challenging that non-catch on the sidelines, but boy, was that Chris Carter-esque. Got the feet down, maintained control of the ball. It was outstanding. The other nice catch that he did have, made a great catch on a somewhat inaccurate balls, to say the least, from Nick Mullens. Nick Mullens, after that play, hit himself over the head to say, boy, if I had led that kid, he might have actually gotten another 15, 20 yards and maybe even would have scored a touchdown. I've seen enough from Jordan Addison to know that everything I've been thinking about this wide receiver trio is, in fact, on point. And yes, they will challenge 3 deep. Not saying they're going to be better, but as I've said, I love the fact that they can play all 3 positions. And Jordan Addison absolutely belongs in the NFL, and we have a rising star in our hands. It is going to be great to see him and Justin Jefferson for many years to come. Jalen Nailor, for the first time in a Vikings uniform, actually looked like he was a first-round pick. Granted, it was against second stringers, but he did what he was supposed to do. If he had struggled against second-string guys, we'd really say, what the heck were we thinking trading for this guy? Nice toe-tap catch on the sideline on the drive that ultimately ended up in the Vikings' only touchdown. Didn't stop running on his routes. That's always a good sign. That's an improvement. If Jalen Nailor does not recover soon from his injury, Jalen Reagor will lock up this number 4 wide receiver position. I'm not saying that Nailor's going to be in trouble to not make the roster because the Vikings really do like him, but good to see Jalen Nailor out there doing something positive for a change. While Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was probably looked at as crazy for giving Josh Oliver the contract and the amount of money he did, boy, oh boy, we see now what their thought process is. He absolutely destroyed guys in the run blocking game, absolutely pancaked them into the ground, and he is a massive human being. This guy has what it takes to be an outstanding blocker, both in the run game and in the pass game. Whatever he does produce in the passing game is just going to be icing on top of the cake because you got the 3 wide receivers in TJ Hawkinson. But man, oh man, this guy looked the part as well yesterday. Boy, oh boy, Ed Ingram, I don't know what to make of this guy. I get it. This is only his second year. And typically, you don't draft offensive linemen to start right away. You want to draft them and let them marinate, let them develop for a year or 2 before you throw them in there. Due to the Vikings and all of the past moves that both this and the previous regime have made with how this roster has been constructed, the interior of the offensive line had been ignored. And unfortunately, all we ever really wanted Ed Ingram to be was an upgrade over Drew Samia and Dakota Dozier. Well, he has shown that he is an upgrade over Drew Samia and Dakota Dozier, and nothing more. This is the only starter on the offensive line that got playing time last night because he's the only one that needed work, apparently. Well, he needs a lot more work. He had a couple of nice run blocks, but other than that, he was a turnstile in pass blocking. I'm sorry, this kid just doesn't have it. And I'm not saying that we should cut him or try to trade him. But at this point, if you are serious about being something more than just a cute little club that can win the NFC North, that's great. You can survive 17 regular season games with Ed Ingram as your starting right guard. But if you're serious about making some noise in the playoffs, you ain't getting anywhere with this guy. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like I'm totally piling on here, but at the end of the day, for me, you need to get Dalton Risner in the building, and you need to keep him here this time. Dalton Risner and his agent probably watched that game last night and said, I think we should probably call them this week and say, hey, you sure you don't want my services? Ed Ingram is not a starting right guard in this league, and at the end of it, you put all of this effort into making your offense better. Fix the weak link. Oli Udoh did not have a great game yesterday. I know he's our backup swing tackle, and that's all we asked him to do, but he was playing against second and third string guys, and he did not look very good at all. I don't understand how such a large human being doesn't have the ability to just anchor and stop some people, but take it for what it's worth. Oli Udoh, we better hope that we don't have injuries on our offensive line, because guess what? Our offensive line is okay at best with the 5 starters. It's got no depth whatsoever. Any notion that Dwayne McBride could actually challenge for the number 2 running back spot were pretty much thrown out the window. Yes, I know he was playing with the 3rd string, but man, oh man, he didn't look good. Did not look good at all. He had an opportunity on a 4th and less than a yard, got completely stuffed, didn't fall forward, didn't have the opportunity to, doesn't look very shifty. Again, he's a rookie, so I'm not expecting him to come in and look the way Adrian Peterson looked his rookie year. But, he's got a lot of work to do. And it would not surprise me at this point if once Kene Nwangwu gets back that they might actually have the notion of possibly cutting this guy and hoping they can swing him back onto the practice squad. Final on the offense, stock down, quarterback Jaren Hall. Although I don't know that I'd really say his stock went down because he is a 5th-round rookie quarterback. He was expected to struggle. That's why you put him out there, is to get experience. And by the way, the offensive line in front of him was absolute trash. And that 1 3rd down completion that he did have was an absolutely beautiful ball. Nice jump ball on the sideline where only the receiver can get it. Now, I'm not trying to heap praise and I'm not trying to pile on. All I am saying is at this point, I'd like to remind people that in 1999, when Dante Culpepper went in with the 3rd string offensive line, he looked like garbage too. I'm not saying Jaren Hall is destined to become Dante Culpepper, but what I am saying is, yeah, he looked like trash, but so would have anybody else behind that line. Ivan Pace sure did live up to the hype last night, at least from where I saw. Listen, this kid, undrafted free agent, was given the green dot helmet. That's the helmet that the defensive coordinator calls the plays into. Now, granted, it was a preseason game. I understand that. And he wasn't going up against starting caliber NFL players. But he was given that responsibility. That ought to tell you something. It ought to tell you that they at least trust the guy enough, even in a preseason game, to be the starter and to be the quarterback of the defense. I'm not ready to say that Ivan Pace is going to be the next London Fletcher, but what I am willing to say is that this guy is nothing short of a heat-seeking missile. He fires off the ball on pretty near every play looking to blow something up. I am ecstatic to actually see a defensive coordinator who is going to finally be aggressive. Yeah, his pass coverage, as I have said, leaves a little bit to be desired, but he had a nice pass breakup yesterday, and if he had dropped just another foot, he might have had an opportunity for an interception. All I'm saying right now is Ivan Pace absolutely is going to make this roster. He is absolutely going to get playing time from week 1, and I bear to say that he could very easily be a starter about a month into the season. Kyrus Tonga absolutely looks the part. Earlier, I had said, does he look good right now because he's going up against our trash interior offensive line, or has this guy actually got something? Well, yesterday, he showed you that he is going to hold down the nose tackle position for this team. Collapse the pocket at times, got some push on the line during run plays. He's doing absolutely everything we need him to do. No, he's not the Lawrence kid from New York or Aaron Donald from the Rams, but he is a solid interior defensive line player, and he is going to create havoc. And while this isn't a video game, Luigi Villain is absolutely caught fire. I love this kid. He might actually find his way into a starting role. Not quite ready to say that yet. Beating out Danielle Hunter and the fact that they gave Marcus Davenport a whole lot of money to be the opposite is going to be a difficult task. But he is absolutely going to be a solid rotational piece. Lewisine, I'm not ready to call this kid a bust yet. I think there are too many people that are willing to jump off the Lewisine train for reasons that are really not entirely Lewisine's fault. It's not his fault he was drafted in the 1st round. It was not his fault that the general manager that drafted him made a bad trade and didn't get enough return when he traded down picks in order to take you. It's also not his fault that there was another safety in the NFL that ended up being very, very good. And, why didn't we just take that guy? Well, Kyle Hamilton would not have looked good in the end down a shell defense, so let's just keep that in mind. But I know you're coming off an injury, and yeah, you had that nice play in the first series where, you came across the field and made a nice open field tackle, but barring that, didn't see a whole lot from Lewis Cine last night. Now, this safety room is rather deep. So at the same time of saying, hey, I haven't seen enough of you to justify you being a first-round pick and you haven't looked good so far, I'm willing to give this kid a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt. Who I am not willing to give much more benefit of the doubt to is, of course, Andrew Booth Jr. I get it. He's dealt with injuries, but he's dealt with injuries for a long time. And at the end of it, what I have said all summer is I'm expecting absolutely nothing from this guy. And if we get any production from him whatsoever, it's going to be what we call found money. Because at this point, if you are expecting anything from Andrew Booth Jr., you're going to be disappointed. I hope someday down the road, I look back at this tape and say, wow, I was totally wrong about Andrew Booth Jr. I'm rooting for the guy. I really am. But he just doesn't have it. And at this particular point, it is not a good look for Kwesi that he made all of those trades, that he took a flyer on a guy who had first-round talent, but there was a reason he wasn't a first-round pick. It's because he's been injured by his own admittance after being drafted. I haven't been healthy since high school. That's not a good sign. And he didn't do himself any favors yesterday. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment. What did you take away from last night's preseason game? Did I miss anybody whose stock should have been higher or stock should have been lower? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, SKOL. To the next episode.